Hi, this is Doug from Dynamic Computing, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 7 of the 10-minute Amiga Retrocast. Last week I had mentioned that I'd watched a video on the Guru Meditation webcast with Anthony and Bill, and they'd done something on DigiView a while back, and got me thinking about my DCTV. So I dug it out of the closet. Now, the DCTV is a slow scan digitizer, much like the DigiView. Same kind of theory as the DigiView. As far as its scanning capabilities, you plug it into the parallel port, but in this case you also have this RGB cable that I'll talk to you a bit about. Now the big difference is this is a 24-bit digitizer, so it actually captures 24-bit colors, even on a standard ECS or OCS Amiga. It's magnificent how it does it. It puts this little stripe of information along the top of the video file that it captures, and it uses that to allow this box to interpret it as an actual 24-bit image. Now, it does that in regular NTSC. I understand there's also a PAL version, but it does it in regular NTSC colors, so you actually see about maybe 6 million colors on the screen, even in high resolution modes. I've got this capturing in high resolution overscan, so it's like 738 pixels by 482 pixels. Now, there's a couple of things on this DCTV that we need to be aware of. It's got video in, uses standard composite cables to get video in. Just about anything that outputs a steady, rock-solid composite signal is going to work fine to scan in. That could be a video camera that's pointed at an object, and that object has to stay still for like 10 seconds, but a video camera works. A VCR, not so much, because the pause feature is going to be too jittery. It's not going to look good. But if you've got something like a DVD player or a Blu-ray player that can stop a frame and it looks nice and rock solid, works beautiful for capturing. The second cable here is the parallel cable, and this is what actually scans and imports it into the Amiga through the parallel cable. This is an RGB pass-through cable. It hooks up to the standard RGB 23-pin port and then passes through to like your 1084 monitor, something like that. Now, one of the caveats I found with the DCTV is it really, really, really wants an RGB monitor. Doesn't want anything that converts the signal from RGB to a VGA signal. It just doesn't work. You'll get the screen for digitizing the images up, but the images look terrible. Limited functionality, but I'll show you how we get past that. Next, we've got their tint adjustment. Okay, this is critical. This comes from the factory preset. Mine was bonkers. When I first started scanning in with my DCTV, everything was coming in black and white, and just, I'm like, what the world is going on here? But just got a little tool, started adjusting that tint adjustment, and maybe 4, 5, 6 adjustments and test scans. I found the perfect point. Everything started coming in beautiful full color. Pixel adjust. It's a little knob right here, pixel adjust. When you're looking at it on a composite signal on a composite monitor, you can use that pixel adjust to adjust the quality of the screen. And then lastly, video out. This is a composite cable that goes out. Now, in my case, I'm sending it out to my nice little 1902 monitor here, and it looks gorgeous. Now, Digital Creations did a really incredible job on this. The point of it was to bring in high quality relatively high resolution images into standard Amigas and be able to play them back and view them on a regular Amiga, or even animate them. You can scan in a series of images and then animate them in full 24-bit color, actually 6 million colors is what is displayed on a traditional Amiga, which does a great job. But what I'm using it for, because I tend to like to use my Amiga and push them to the limits to do current things that are useful and usable right now, what I like to do is scan in the images and convert them to 24-bit IFFs, and then use the Grim program that I'll show you a little bit on to convert them into 24-bit JPEG images. And my goodness, I bring them over to my PC, they look fantastic. They really, really look nice. So let me show you a little bit about what the DCTV can do. Now, when you first launch the software, as we pan the camera over, you'll notice it will show up on my regular secondary monitor, the one that I use, the one that I talked to you guys about last week. There we go. The actual scanning program shows up just fine there. But when I try to digitize an image, that's where the problem comes in. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about how I'm doing these images and how I'm bringing them into the actual DCTV. Now, I hooked up my digital camera to it, worked absolutely beautifully, except my digital camera puts the shutter speed and the f-stop that were used with a picture at the top of the screen when I send it out the component cable, and my goodness, I could not find any way to disable that. So every picture I scanned in had that at the top. Yes, of course you can just edit it out, but I thought there's got to be a better way. So then it hit me. A Nintendo Wii. You can put an SD card in a Nintendo Wii, and then it has that photo channel on it. I'm sure 3/4 of you guys have had a Wii in the past. Put your SD card in there from your camera, start up the photo channel, watch your pictures, and my goodness, it puts out a rock solid image that scans absolutely beautifully. So I take my pictures, I put them on an SD card, and I put them in my Wii and hook my Wii up with a composite cable to the DCTV. Flawless, absolutely flawless. Now, you may be asking, Douglas, you've already got these images, obviously in 24-bit color from your camera, from your nice Canon camera, on an SD card. Why on earth do you need to hook them up to your Amiga and scan them into your Amiga? Well, because we can. Because it's cool, it's fun, and we can, why not? So that's the reason that I do it, is because it's fun and because I can. Now, the reason I'm not showing my LCD over there is because as soon as I start to digitize, it's going to look absolutely awful. But the minute I hit the button to tell it to scan in an image, right over here, it pops up nicely on my 1902 monitor. So I've got all my options. I can set options in DCTV, close down Workbench, create a spare page. You can have 2 pages in at the same time, create icons for your saved files. Here, this one launches the painting program, which is actually really powerful, really cool and really powerful. The conversion program that lets you convert the files that are scanned in from your DCTV directly into ham mode if you want to. You can put them in extra half bright mode, 16 color mode. It really works really good quality, and I'll show you that. Load an image, save an image. If your source is from a camera or from a videotape, whether you're scanning and interlaced using a little filter, that it helps the quality. I always scan in high quality, and I always scan in speed 1. That's the slowest scan, but it seems to be a higher quality. This screen Here I've got set at 736 by 482 4-bit planes. You can change that to a lower resolution if you want to, but I don't see any reason to. And we can adjust the quality of the images here. Now, hit the scan button, and I take my fancy Wii remote, and we're going to go back, and I can look at the pictures on my SD card right here. Well, here's a lovely picture of a flower. Hit the plus button. I've got a full screen, rock solid image of a flower that I took on a cactus a couple of years ago. Now, to my right, where you can't see it, on my LCD display, it's asking me ready to digitize. Click left button to digitize, right mouse button to cancel. I'm going to click left to digitize. And you can see it goes down and it's actually scanning through the picture. This is the DCTV scanning through the picture and converting it into DCTV format. Making the preview. All right. Now, this little guy is the actual image that it captured on the DCTV. It's now in chip memory, I think, in its little frame buffer. And I mean, the quality, this is an Amiga. This is a product that was created 25 years ago. And it looks pretty darn good. Now, I like to bump up the color just a little bit, and sometimes the contrast just a little bit. Once you make your adjustments over here, if you want to tweak these, you'll see the make button and the commit button start to flash. Make means it's actually going to make the change on the screen, and I think you'll agree, it looks a little bit better. It brightened it up, made it pop a little bit more. Now, let's adjust the sharpness a little bit. That's probably going to be too much. Didn't do too much. Okay, now I'm going to commit this. Committing that to now what it is, it's a 24-bit DCTV file. There's a magical line up at the top that you can't see that tells the DCTV that it is a DCTV image, and it is going to display it in its 24-bit color. Now, what can we do with this? We can hit save. I'm going to tell it to put it in my pictures folder, and I've got one called DCTV. We'll call this one Red Flower. Now, this is going to be a 24-bit IFF file as long as I click the 24-bit button down there. If I click it in RAW, it keeps it as a DCTV file, which only DCTV can read. I like to do 24-bit IFF because I'm doing things with these images that require that. Hit save. Now I've got a 24-bit IFF picture. Now let's get a few more of these in here. We're going to scan again. And now I'm going to get my Wii going here. Now, how many of you can hear that music in your head that the Wii always plays when you're in this this channel here? Hey, look at that handsome couple. All right, let's find butterfly. There we go. Beautiful butterfly. We're going to scan it in. Look at that. And it did a pretty good job on its own. I mean, that's an absolutely gorgeous picture. If you can imagine in like 1992 seeing that on your screen, I mean, it was just unheard of. Let's bump up the contrast of our little butterfly a little bit, and maybe the sharpness by a little bit. And yeah, I think that looks better. I always seem to like the brightness to come up just a little bit. Now we're going to save that. And let's call that Butterfly IFF. Saving it as a nice 24-bit picture. It remembers my setting there. Now, how does this do scanning in people? That's what I always want to know. How bright, colorful things are great, and if you'll notice, that's a lot of the pictures that I chose were nice, bright, colorful pictures. Sunsets, things like that. Well, let's see how it does scanning in people. Look at these two handsome gentlemen here. These are the guys from the Amigos Retrocast, and the last couple of episodes they've mentioned me on there, and this is my special thank you to John and Aaron. We're going to forever digitize them in beautiful DCTV resolution. And let's see how it works with skin tones too. Not half bad, really. I mean, it's easily as good, the equal of a regular television picture from, the mid 2000s or the late 90s. I can't vouch for the subject matter, but the actual image quality works out great. Just kidding, guys. Now, some of the cool things that this can do is convert it right into ham pictures. Let's give this a good save. 24-bit. All right, we go to the convert button here. Now I'm going to switch to my other monitor. You'll notice that this is displaying on my regular LCD display now. Now we can, from the convert menu, we can load up an image. Let's do the butterfly. Now that's loading it up as a 24-bit RGB picture. Now you'll notice it's not displaying the image; it's just loading it up into the frame buffer. Now we tell it what kind of screen mode we want to use. I want to use an interlaced 4096 color. Now let's do video overscan. Now you'll notice there's no there's no AGA support on here. It's just straight ECS/OCS type of video. And that's okay, because if I want anything to be converted to actual AGA screen modes, I'll just use my 24-bit IFF image that I've already saved, and I'll convert it in the Amiga itself, not in the DCTV program. But I wanted to give you an example of what this looks like. Now let's do diffuse dither, and we're going to tell it, okay, generate from that 24-bit butterfly image a ham 6 image. And take a look at that. It does a nice job. This is an actual ham 6 image of our little butterfly here. From here, we can make some adjustments. We'll brighten it up a little bit. Same button here, make. And yeah, you can make some nice adjustments. Now, it's actually pretty robust. Let's bring in another picture here. Bring in red flower. And we're going to do this as a high res, so 736 by 482 in 16 color. But look what a nice job it does of actually converting it into a high resolution 16 color image. It's really not half bad. We're losing some detail here. It's washing it out there, but it's really not half bad. Now let's see how human beings look if we convert them. Okay, again, high res, 16 color. We may want to reduce the brightness a little bit. overall for a 16 color image, that's not a bad job. So now we have these images scanned in with our DCTV, full 24-bit IFF files that we can use in virtually any Amiga program. Now these images, if you have an animation program that supports 24-bit IFF images, you can just bring them right in, and as long as you're presenting it on an RGB monitor, you can make an animation from it and have a 24-bit animation playback on a traditional Amiga, an OCS Amiga. Pretty impressive. But what I like to use it for, and this is something I've mentioned before I like to do with my Amigas, I like to see what I can get out of them, see how far I can push the Amigas. And just the fact that I can really very easily get a 24-bit image into my Amiga and convert it into a JPEG file that I can use anywhere else, I think is actually pretty cool. So, in a nutshell, I think the DCTV was an incredible device back in the early 90s. Just unheard of. 24-bit displays, 24-bit scanning, just incredible back in the day. Cost about $500 when it was new. I never owned one when I was using my Amiga back in the 90s. I picked these up back in the early mid-2000s with a batch of Amiga hardware that I got. But I would have loved to have had something like this back in the day. Just incredible what kind of things that we could have done with it. Now I've put together a little slideshow displaying a series of DCTV images that I've created. So now with my Amiga 4000, I've got my AD516 card in there, so I can capture and manipulate 16-bit audio files absolutely beautifully. And I've got 24-bit video capture device. These are all things that are pretty darn incredible. We take them for granted today on our PCs and Macs. But back in the early 90s, this kind of stuff was just incredible and just unheard of. And it's just amazing that even today, the quality that can come out of an Amiga can be this good. It's just really, really astounding to me. But that's part of the reason that we still love our Amigas. So, this is Doug from Dynamic Computing, signing out.